Are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Tool to Play presents Still Got Game with Derek D. Smooth Nolan and Joel Dude I Rock Albert.
This episode of Still Got Game is brought to you by ThinkGeek and the Craft Beer Club. Hey now! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Still Got Game, episode 323. Still Got Game is the official podcast of ToolToPlay.com. I am, as always, Derek D. Smooth Nolan.
And I am Joel Dude I Rock Albert.
What is going on, Joel Dude I Rock Albert? My good buddy.
Not much. Doing a show. That's about it.
Yeah, I know. It's good to be back.
It
This is 2 weeks in a row.
I know it's kind of weird. I feel strange if there hasn't been something that comes up to block us for at least a week or two.
Yes.
So it's kind of strange.
And we're pulling it off without Hitman again, which is nice. Tiff is pulling the double duty again this week.
And I will say she's doing it well.
Yes.
We have found new ways to do this that Tiff has discovered on her own, by the way, that I feel like are far superior. Now, I don't want to knock Hitman because he's an amazing producer, but in terms of being lean with it, Tiffany takes it away there.
Maybe Hit just because his computer is so beast. He just feels like he has all this processing power to.
Right, like he should do it because he can do it.
And maybe he can't is the thing. Maybe he should. Maybe he should
might
take
be
some of
the
these
problem.
lessons.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, Hit should hopefully be back next week, so we'll be good to go. But it's good to know we do have a emergency backup plan here, a fallout shelter, if you will, that we can hole up in, and everything works. So, Jay, I guess on that one, we just jump right in the show proper. We'll start off with feedback from last week's show. Remember, if you want to leave us a voicemail, it will cut you off after a minute. Byru comments. I liked your insight last week in response to Alcius's question about the FPS player base and where they end up. I, like D Smooth, always was a Halo fan, but now also think I was always really a Bungie fan. Keep up the good work, guys. Love the show.
I had this discussion today in some profanity chat with a couple of those guys because that's who I usually play Destiny with, and it's interesting to see how many people actually are Halo fans versus Bungie fans. A lot of that crew has moved over to Halo, and they feel like Halo is a superior game. I mean, I don't really agree, but that doesn't necessarily make them wrong either. It's interesting to see that, though, from some friends who are so into just the Halo universe and playing Halo that it trumps the fact that it's no longer developed by Bungie. I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I've been playing a lot more Halo lately, which we'll get to, but I don't think it's necessarily the best Halo, but I also don't think it's better than Destiny, and I'm kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, where are you at? You have not played Halo?
Have not fired up our Halo yet.
That's crazy.
No, it's been around for 2.5 weeks now, sitting on all of our Xboxes, but it has not been fired up. But hopefully, I think I'm going to fire it up this week.
Nice.
That is the goal, to get some Halo time in, play through a little of the campaign, and see what that's like, and then hopefully hop some multiplayer and see what that's like.
Totally. I mean, it's definitely worth playing. It is.
Oh, since we bought it, it's
MCC.
definitely worth playing.
It's not an MCC. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you bought MCC too, right?
That's
and
true.
I literally played no games of that. I think maybe one.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in a menu and then being like, "Well, I guess this is over." And then that's the last time I played MCC.
Yeah, that's true. We all wasted money on that.
Yeah.
I played part of a campaign that then lost.
Oh, you did? Okay.
It lost my save, and then
Oh, you were like, "Fuck yeah, that would be it for me too."
and then I was like, I'll try some multiplayer, and then it was horribly broken at that point. By that point, Destiny was back full bore, and I never went.
There's no reason to go back. Yeah. Same day. I mean, it's a really good comment though, because it does sort of play into: are you a fanboy of the developer or are you a fanboy of the game?
Yep.
And the two are not always the same for some people. So, good comment.
Yeah, and it's good to see that there's a split.
Yeah, totally.
All right, Titus comments. You guys warned us last week about the show quality during Hitman's absence, but I think you guys are doing a great job. Electrify did great as your makeshift producer. She sure did.
She's continuing to do it. So what the great part about this is every week in Hit's absence, Tiff is just getting better, right? So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just
Kicking
being
ass.
dialed in. So the next time
Yeah.
Hit has to go away for a week, we got this covered. You don't have to worry about some piece of shit show like the first week that Jay and I did it. And it was one nonstop, fucking the two of us on the screen at the same time, no scene changes, nothing. So,
Wrong episode number, or
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
no episode
No,
number.
we remember we dragged the Tool to Play logo
Yeah,
and just
just blocked
dropped
it.
it on top of the episode number. It was,
Like, it's branding. That's what we're doing. It's fine.
So yeah, it was. Well, thanks. That is a good compliment for Tiff. Last but not least, Bagel Snot comments. I like the show a lot better when Hitman produces. Not because of the quality, but because there are more before and after show outtakes in those episodes. When is he coming back? Well,
so that part's true, right? Because
Hit does a lot of pre and post show recording, and I'm not having
Right.
to grab it from the Twitch stream.
Well, but also, I mean, for me, it's because Hit generally says something like ridiculously insane. So by the end of the show, there's like all this pent up like things that we need to say to one another. And so we'll go off on a tangent, usually because Hit says something like completely ridiculous that Derek and I have to just say, like, how are you thinking? How are you even human? So we don't get a lot of that with Tiff, but it's okay. I mean, I guess I know a lot of people are fans of that, but I guarantee you by the time Hit gets back, especially the things that I've talked about with him just yesterday playing Halo, where I've been like, dude, what are you fucking talking? I'm sure there'll be a lot of those very, very soon.
Yeah, there's no shortage of dumb comments from Hit that we can then talk about post show. It's just how he rolls. But yes, thank you for that call. And when is he coming back? Next week, I believe.
Yeah, next week he's supposed to be
23rd. He's supposed to return until he's like, oh no,
until he says no.
My new job, it got extended another month, So we'll see what happens. But he's supposed to be back next week. So it is what it is. All right, with any of awesome feedback like that, give us a call, 773-527-2961, or email us at podcast@tooltoplay.com. And site-related news, I got nothing. And Jay, I believe you got nothing.
I got nothing. We did release some cool stuff for our editors and stuff so they can handle the site better. But other than that, nothing else.
Nothing user-facing.
Nothing user-facing, no.
All right. Well, then why don't we meander on over into what we're playing. Joel Dude I Rock Albert, what have you been playing this week?
Funny you mentioned that, Derek. I've been playing Halo 5 pretty much nonstop.
Huh?
So I'm done with Destiny, not in the sense that like I don't want to play the game anymore. I got nothing bad to say about it. I love Destiny. Probably will still relegate maybe Tuesdays to doing some raiding and stuff like that. But I've essentially finished the game. There's really no reason for me to go any further with it. I'm not the type that needs to be 320. I always feel like if you've beaten the raid, you've beaten the raid. Like I don't need to go any further. And I wanted to give Halo a real shot. So I've been playing pretty much like nonstop Halo multiplayer for the last 2, 3, maybe 4 days. And I'm honestly loving it. I think this is, since Halo 3, the best Halo that they've really ever come up with, which was hard for me to say because originally when I think I spent the first day with it, I thought it was awful. But that was really just sort of trying to dial in your Destiny life into this new Halo life, which controls-wise, things feel different. You know, it's a different shooter. There's no aim assist, so you actually have to be good, which I had to remember how to do that. Took me a while, but no, I mean, it's a great game. I'm loving it. Having a good time.
Nice.
What about you?
Well, I have only played Destiny this week, thus far. So we did our Oryx raid and all that stuff, and doing my weekly bounties and all that fun stuff, and the grind, the MMO grind.
Yeah, the regular stuff. Yeah,
but
I haven't done that. I mean, I haven't even gone back to the grind stuff, which I probably should be doing.
Yeah, the Crucible stuff's fun. I like the once you finally get through that Crucible quest chain and you get those bounties unlocked. It's 6 of them every week. The sixth one is just do the other 5 and then fill this one in, and then you get your Nightfall tier rewards, and those are good. Once you unlock it on one of your characters, you have them on them all. So that's nice.
That is nice. Yeah, I mean, they've done a great job. Like I will say, the grind on Destiny this time around, I've heard people say it's worse, but I think it's just I can't agree with it at all.
No, it's
part of the reason
it's so
I
much
quit
better.
was because of how bad the grind was. So I never feel like I need to. Like right now, I'm a week done, but I don't need to grind. I can if I want to, but there's really no reason for me to.
Yeah.
I'd be just as fine, picking back up next week and doing a Tuesday raid tomorrow. So
yeah, that's the thing. Is it's there if you enjoy it and you want it. If you don't, you don't have to. It's not like you're at a huge loss if you didn't do it.
Right. Oh, and before we leave here and go to our next subject, Seldon brings up a good point, which is that our producer who isn't here, it is his birthday.
It is.
So this is the Hitman birthday today. So happy birthday to Hit, and that's why part of the reason he's not here as well, because it is his birthday. So
well, his present to us is his return next week.
Right, there you go.
Because you're supposed to give a present on your birthday.
Well, we're giving him the gift of being able to hang out with us.
No, that's true. Yeah, we'll throw him a bone for another year. All right. Well, Jay, on that, why don't we hop on over to the new releases? first new release out this week is a multi-platform release, and is Star Wars Battlefront. This is out for the Xbox One, the PS4, and the PC. This is the third game in EA's wildly popular Battlefront series, and it's the first game since 2005. Now, this technically isn't the third iterative game in the series, but rather a complete reboot of the franchise. The game features just about every location, vehicle, and character in the Star Wars universe that you loved as a kid. They're all back, and they are photo fucking realistic good shit. The campaign of the game, and I put that in huge quotes because it's primarily just some offline co-op that you can play with someone else. There's really is no campaign mode, and that's pretty much the only thing that people have been dinging about this game. The bulk of the game is the huge scale multiplayer component. It takes place on all these different planets, all these locations you love. There's vehicle maps. There's all this stuff. There's no early review scores out for this at the time that I put the outline together this afternoon, but the buzz is strong with this one.
Yeah, this is one of the more hyped games of the last 5 years. I mean, I wouldn't say it's Fallout hype because I think Fallout kind of ate into that hype. But we talked about this pre-show. I think it's a great game. It looks amazing. But for the demo, maybe they didn't give enough of like what to expect. Certainly, like what they're showing looks way better than what the demo held, but it still felt like I was playing Battlefield with the Star Wars skin. So I can't get over that mentally, and so I'm not going to buy it right away. Which I've heard a lot of people say I'm crazy. Battlefront rather was one of my most favorite games of all time for me. I played it almost as much as I played Halo back in the day. But it's not. I don't know. It still feels like I'm paying for Battlefield again. Of course, there's a ton of different components within the game that are not in Battlefield that make it different, that certainly make it stand out. But as a shooter, you feel like you're playing Battlefield. So
yeah, for someone that hasn't played Battlefield, maybe that's
totally worth picking it up.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely worth picking up. And I will buy it at some point. But now I've got Halo and I've got Destiny. And I still have not even gone into Fallout, which I don't think I'll even buy either because I just don't have the time. So like there's a lot of things out there now that sort of take my gaming time. And I don't think I'll get this just yet.
No,
but I will.
Yeah, I would love to have time to play this too. And I love the fact that you can switch between the third person and first person views. And it's not just because Battlefront was always that, over the shoulder third person view. And now having that switch back and forth between the two, having some of the awesome moments like the speeder bike stuff that we saw way back like at E3 3 years ago, that would have been 3 years ago when they were like, this is pre alpha footage. And it was like still the best thing we ever saw. And I can't say enough good stuff about what I've seen about the game. Now, whether as time goes on, whether that multiplayer part holds up or it doesn't, I guess that makes the decision for people that are waiting like us an easier decision. So if it's got the longevity, then it's good to go.
And that's part of it too, because I think we both know in terms of Battlefield, in terms of releases, they have probably been like on the MCC level for like the last 4 fucking releases for the game. So there is a little bit of like worry there of like, I'm going to buy the game and the server's going to explode. And they probably will, given the amount of hype this game has. It's going to be bigger than Battlefield ever was. I'm making the assumption, but I feel like I'll be proven correct. And I don't know if they can handle that. Like they've never really been able to handle a launch for the last like 2-3 games. So I guess we'll have to see. But to me, I'm a little apprehensive just on the bugs level as well. I'll just, we'll wait it out for a month or whatever. And then sure, I'll play it over Christmas or something. So, yeah. But yeah, definitely a pickup for me. It's just a down the line pickup.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. Well, then, like I said, small list of new releases out this week. So why don't we hop on over into gaming news and we'll transition over to Tiff at the Tool to Play news desk. So what is going on with you tonight, Tiff?
Hey guys, just switching scenes and being cool and
this is your most difficult part of the show now.
I know.
Because now you have a job and you're still producing.
I know.
So.
No, I got this.
Oh, I'm sure you do. All right, first story.
Steam machines are slower systems than Windows PCs, and this comes from Joystick X Engadget. The whole point of a Steam machine is to get PC-like gaming in your living room, but do you actually get PC-like performance? Not so much if you ask Ars Technica. I'm not sure who that is, but they sound cool. It recently ran benchmarks comparing the performance of SteamOS and Windows 10 on the same hardware, and it's pretty clear that you're taking a speed hit in the name of couch-based convenience. The two operating systems are very close in synthetic tests, but SteamOS lags well behind Windows when it comes to real gameplay. Depending on the game and your detail settings, you could be losing dozens of frames per second. Now, you repeat that, dozens of frames per second. All of the titles tested were still very playable on the Modest test rig. This was a dual-core 3 GHz Pentium with an old GeForce GTX 660, but this could pose a problem with more demanding titles in the future. So, thoughts on this, guys?
This honestly doesn't surprise me.
Really? I was actually shocked when I read this.
See, the only thing, because originally when we heard about the Steam machines, there wasn't a whole lot of information about what was going to be running on them. I always assumed that they were going to be Steam machines running a Windows OS. These things are running Steam's modified Linux kernel. And when's the last time you played a game on Linux that ran as well as a Windows game, the Windows version of that same game? Never.
My problem with that, and the only reason I would think it would be better, you're right, it is right. I think we've known for a while it's running the Linux kernel, but there's less that it has to do. I mean, for me, it's so strange that a modern OS like Windows, who's doing, honestly, thousands upon thousands of things right when you boot it up, versus really all Steam has to do is give you the interface for running games. They don't need to run anything else but put all of their power into interface and games. And so when I read that, like when you read about when Microsoft first built Xbox, really all that was, and now what it really continues to be, is a modified version of their Windows kernel. And then they're really just saying, okay, let's dump all power into the GPU and everything else. And it runs fairly well. In fact, it turns out you get more power out of the system that way. And so for me, it's so odd that they're doing essentially the same thing, but they're losing performance while doing so. I'm not really quite sure how they managed to do this. I don't know why it's taking so much power, but it does really kind of blow my mind when the whole point of the system is to strictly run video games. It doesn't compute with me.
Part of it could be that, you know, the drivers in Linux for your NVIDIA cards and everything else, they're
not well supported. Yeah, I mean,
they keep updating them, but they're never on par with it because there's not that angry like mass of people that's just waiting behind it being like, you fucked this up. Like if they fuck up the Linux driver and it's, 12 frames per second shy, the two guys that play whatever game it is that actually came out on Linux are going to complain about it. But the Windows base, if you fuck up the NVIDIA drivers for Windows, you're going to hear about it. And you're going to release that update to it the next day, the day after. You're going to keep patching the shit out of that until the frame rate issues are fixed and there's not any other issues. But the Linux side, there's just not that support. And there hasn't been a big enough user base for them to vet out the quality of these drivers. Like, think about how NVIDIA puts out the driver for Windows. Sometimes there's like, you look at the patch notes for a driver update and it's like, fixes an issue in Battlefield 4 where like they literally patch down shit to the specific game. Yep. And there's just not enough people playing the variety of games on Linux for them to have all these tweaks in there. And
I think it's going to take them sort of time. I wonder how much Steam has to do now, or how much they will have to do in the future, really go after these bugs themselves and hire people to work on this Linux kernel to specifically patch these things. Maybe we'll see more releases strictly from Steam and from Valve working with Linux drivers in the open source community to try to get these things patched up. Because I feel like if they sit around and wait for the community to do it, because that's ultimately what you have to do with Linux, they're going to be waiting a really long fucking time.
And it's a chicken and egg thing at that point too, because then if people hear that Steam fucking machines are broken, people aren't going to be buying them, which means you're not getting enough data points playing the games to go ahead and fix the things. So do you put your good money ahead of things and try to push it forward, or do you wait and hopefully people buy your broken thing and tell you where it's broken so that you can then fix it?
It is very odd. I mean, I love the idea of the Steam OS. I always thought it was a really good move for them. But ultimately, I always think like, well, really all Microsoft has to do at this point to just crush the Steam box is really release that minimalized OS for Windows. I think the reason they don't do that is because they don't want to cannibalize their own market with the Xbox One, which makes complete sense to me. I get why they wouldn't do that. But in reality, if this thing ever, started catching on, Microsoft could just say, okay, well, fuck it. All right, here is the Xbox One OS for your laptop, whatever, pre-installed. It runs on top of Windows, and it does everything that your Xbox One does. I don't think that'll ever happen, like I said, because it would cannibalize their own marketplace. But I mean, it's sort of this weird thing where even if they gain sort of market share, there's an easy way to shut them down almost instantaneously. And Microsoft's been doing this for a long time. Like you said, they have the drivers, they have the OS, they have everything already ready to go. So I don't know. I feel like it's so sad, but I feel like this will never truly catch on. I mean, you can do this now if you really want. If you want to, most PC games now running on your Windows rig, you can plug in a controller and they will work. And so really the only thing left for you to do is stick in an HDMI cable into your plasma or your flat screen, and that's it. You're good to go.
And especially since Windows 10, now it has all these things where you get these little boxes that pop up floaty. They look like a box that you popping up on your Xbox One. It's like, are you playing a game? If you are, press click here. And then it does take you to sort of that big screen, big theater mode or whatever.
Yep. You could open up the whole Xbox One app. You have all your so I mean, I use it actually. It has all my PC games on it. It has all my Xbox One games and my PC games. And if I want to launch them, I can. And I can even start a party chat straight through my PC now. So you're seeing them move into this space, and obviously it would be a no-brainer for them if they ever want to take it over. So I mean, this is a really interesting story, and I think we're gonna really have to watch Steam to see if it can actually build a user base. I don't think it will. But interesting shit.
Yeah, good story. All right, Tiff, next story.
Despite PS4 price cut, Xbox One tops October 2015 US console sales, and this comes from GameSpot. While the PlayStation 4 has routinely been the best-selling console in the United States since its launch, that was not the case in October 2015. Instead, it was the Xbox One. The NPD Group today released its monthly report for new physical sales in the U.S. during October. While the report itself no longer includes specific sales figures for specific hardware, Microsoft said in a statement that the Xbox One came out on top. An impressive feat considering the PS4 dropped its price for the first time in October, bringing it in line with the cheapest Xbox One at $350. The strength of the greatest games lineup in Xbox history drove record Xbox Live usage for October and made Xbox One the best-selling console in the US with 81% growth compared to October 2014. Xbox marketing corporate VP Mike Nichols said in a statement shared with GameSpot. This could be gleaned from Sony's statement, which failed to highlight that the PS4 had been number one, as it normally would. We are truly humbled by the success of the PlayStation 4 and look forward to celebrating with our fans at PlayStation Experience in December, a Sony spokesperson told GameSpot. Thank you to our community for making PlayStation 4 the top-selling console globally. So what are your thoughts on this, guys? This is when we were just talking about last week, was that the Xbox was saying, hey, we don't care about hardware anymore.
So that's the fucked up part. They're like, we're not going to count hardware sales. We're going to just say how many new Xbox Live subscribers we had. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, we're number one. Let's tell everybody.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, I think no one doubts this, but this is Halo, right? This is why they won.
No doubt.
So it's not really like they're, and I hate to say they're not winning. They won this month, but this is Halo. You're seeing these sales because of Halo. This is why people buy Xbox Ones. So I'm not really shocked. I think you might even see November they'll win again because of Halo. It'll probably drag out into
Christmas.
Yeah. Into Christmas, yeah. And again, because kids are, their mom and dads are buying Halo for their kids for December. So I think you'll see Xbox really kick some ass for a while. Whether they have that mainstay power, leading past Christmas, I guess we'll see. But this is the time for them to really sell their hardware, and they've got the game to do it with. And I don't really think PlayStation. I'm trying to think if they have anything coming out this Christmas that's really a box seller for them. And nothing comes to the top of my mind, which is because I don't think there is. Yeah. I think they're gonna have a tough time this Christmas. I think that's just an obvious thing. We've got great games that are paired with Halo, which makes it almost even easier for someone to buy an Xbox One. Yes, you can get it on your PS4. You can get Battlefront on your PS4. You can get Fallout on your PS4. But if you're looking at a new system and you know that they have Halo here, it doesn't really hurt you to buy your Xbox One and get Fallout on that as well.
Yeah. So or Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider ahead of the game on Xbox One. So.
Exactly. So those two things, and then mixed with the fact that they're now the same price, and you get the media center and all the other shit that you're really not getting with your PlayStation. It's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, it always surprises me when I say this because I always say it's a no-brainer, and then 10 of my friends are like, "Hey, I'm getting a new system next week. Should I get a PS4?" I'm like, "No."
I don't that mentality. I get it all the time at the office from people that aren't gamers, and they're like, "Oh, my kids want a console. the PS4, right? And I'm like, no, the Xbox One. That's where you want to go. But I don't know where that sort of mindset comes in, and maybe it's just because PlayStation had such that ground forever.
That's exactly
the
right.
PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, if there was ever months to be the one that's ahead of the other guy, October, November, and December are those months.
Yeah,
that's and coming in here with your low price, you got like Xbox has like 5 different holiday bundles that are all fucking amazing. They fixed the problem with the Kinect now, where for a while you could buy a bundle that was $100 more and get a Kinect, but if you bought any of the other bundles that didn't have a Kinect, you had to pay $150 for the Kinect. So they finally were like, okay, we're charging $100 more when you buy the console, but when you want to buy the Kinect, we're charging $150. We got to put those in line. So now you can go buy the Kinect for $100. So
as soon as you're ready,
you can pick any of the bundles you want. Now it doesn't matter. You can buy any bundle, whichever one has the games you want or the features you want. You want the terabyte, you want this, and have the Kinect afterwards for $100 if that's something you want. And I'll tell you, I love the Kinect, and that's it's a laziness thing alone. But I can't do it here because the Xbox is going to URN on. But I come in the house, I say XBOX turn on, then I say XBOX watch Food Network, and I'm in the kitchen. It's Food Network's on. I'm cooking dinner, and like literally, it just works, and it's so easy and lazy. Like most nights, unless you're watching something off the DVR, we don't even use the remote. We just say a channel, and we're good to go.
Yeah, I think the hard part with Kinect has always been that one, the first gen Kinect was not good. It was just okay and maybe okay at best. And it's really hard. I have a lot of friends that'll say like, well, I don't want the Kinect. I had the Kinect. It's such a piece of shit. And they don't really know about how good it is until they come over to the house.
Yep.
And that's a tough thing for Microsoft to try to explain and sell because everyone is so used to what either the stories they heard about Kinect or their own experience with the first gen Kinect. And there's no reason for them, they think, to buy it. But I will say, if it's in a living room, now having it in your office, I have to agree, doesn't make a lot of sense. I have an Xbox One in my office. I do not have a Kinect for it. There's no point. I'm sitting 3 feet from, the monitor.
Yep.
But if you have it in any entertainment type of situation outside of just gaming, it's, again, using this word a lot, a no-brainer. There's no reason not to have it. It is an add-on, but it's one that gives you enough features where I definitely think it justifies the cost. $100 for what you get. Totally worth it.
Yeah, I think you and I and Tiff benefited from something that the normal consumer didn't, and it was E3 just before the Xbox One came out, and we went. They were showing off some of the shit that the new Kinect can do, and that's the thing that people miss out on, and the general public doesn't know. We went to one of the demos where it could look at you and it could tell your heart rate and all this other shit just by fucking looking at you. Like it was fucking magical. Like it
is almost borderline magical. Yeah, it is. And I think that's the tough thing. And the real downer to the story, now that we're completely off topic, is that less work and development time is certainly now going into Kinect because of sort of its failed quote unquote launch. That's the real travesty here, is that they did so well upgrading the Kinect for this generation. The concern now is that the consumers essentially said, no, we don't want to Kinect. And I wonder if you'll even see a Kinect in Xbox 2, wherever they're going to call the fucking thing. Yeah. I wonder, just because it's like they kind of have pulled the plug on it a little bit, or at least definitely downplayed it significantly, which is a shame because the tech has grown. I mean, I can't even explain how much better this version is. It's not the same fucking. I mean, they're not even close to one another.
No, it's like a bike versus an automobile. It's insane, but. Bringing us back on topic like you attempted to do, and then went right back to where we were.
Just left immediately.
Yeah. You're like, oh, but getting on topic. No, back where we were talking about the Kinect. Yeah. So this is good news for Microsoft, and we'll see what happens during the holiday season. But you know what? I just want all consoles to sell because the more shit that happens in gaming, the better, and it makes all of us we seem less weird. Our purchases seem more justifiable.
Right.
Nobody thinks that what we're doing is a waste of time. And you're like, yeah, what do you do? Oh, well, I go to bed sometime between 1 and 2. I get up at 5:40. I go to work. Oh, what are you doing? You guys watch a lot of movies? No, we just pretty much play video games from like 7:30, 8 o'clock until 1 in the morning.
Until I pass out.
Yep. Yeah. So, no, it's good for gamers in general. All right, Tiff, next story.
Next story. We have this week's What the Fuck story. Report, terrorists used PS4 to plan Paris attacks, and this comes from Game Politics. Belgium Federal Home Affairs Minister Jan Jambon claims that terror groups like ISIS regularly use the PlayStation 4 to communicate. I know, you guys are killing me. I saw Derek shake his head. Belgian Federal Home Affairs Minister Jan Jambon claims that terror groups like ISIS regularly use the PlayStation 4 to communicate. The comments about Sony's console were part of a broader statement on the attacks that occurred in Paris that killed an estimated 132 people and injured 300. 8 alleged terrorists were killed Saturday night, but accomplices may still be at large. Police initiated several raids in nearby Brussels and collected evidence which reportedly included at least one PlayStation 4 console, according to a Forbes report. Speaking at a debate this week organized by Politico and reported on by The Bulletin, Jambon said that Brussels is the weakest link in the fight against radicalization. He notes that the structure of the government and different police zones, the city is made up of 19 municipalities and 6 police zones. He also noted that terrorists are using game consoles to communicate because they aren't closely monitored. The thing that keeps me awake at night is the guy behind his computer looking for messages from IS? Are we missing some rest of the here? Okay. Looking for messages from IS and other hate preachers, said Jambon. He warned that terror networks are using the gaming console PlayStation 4, which allows them to communicate with each other because it is difficult for the authorities to monitor. PlayStation 4 is even more difficult to keep track of than WhatsApp, he added. The surveillance community has long asserted that video games and consoles can be a safe haven for terrorists. When former NSA contractor Edward Snowden leaked documents about the National Security Agency's various spying programs, it showed an initiative to monitor in-game communications with popular games like World of Warcraft because the agency believed that terrorists were talking about operations in-game. So, wow, I know this has been kind of a hot topic on everyone's minds this week. So, what do you guys think of this?
Yeah, I guess it makes sense where nowadays we can monitor email, you can monitor phone calls, you can monitor text messages, you can monitor just about everything. But then you take your secret conversations to, and last time around it was WhatsApp, which I think is why it's just weird that the Belgium Federal Home Affairs Minister even brings up things like WhatsApp. He even knows what WhatsApp is or the PlayStation 4. But yeah, so you're going to non-traditional communication mediums, and PlayStation 4 is like Xbox One. You got voice chat, you got text messages, you got these things that exist in a microcosm that are not part of a open protocol standard like telephones, like email, like instant messaging, like text messages. It's a closed system, and it's scary.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, this story, like, even when I read it, I was like, I don't even want to talk about this because it's such a travesty. And honestly, like, anytime we touch politics, I try to stay as far away from it as humanly possible, especially in a gaming show. But obviously, the two have intersected here. And when you look at something like this, I think Derek's totally right here. I mean, terrorists will go for not even terrorists, crime in general. They'll go for the closed system that they know where the path of least resistance will be. And it makes sense that it's going to be a PlayStation. It makes sense it'll be an Xbox. It's really not a shock to me that that's what they found. There's no scenario where I think they're going to use their own cell phones anymore. I think everyone's wildly aware that's probably not the safest place to be talking about toppling governments or anything like that. So, I mean, when I saw this story, I mean, I was like, oh, well, this is probably going to be on our show because I saw it earlier. But yeah, I mean, like, ultimately, I don't know. I almost didn't want to comment on it because it disgusts me till no end. And what happened to the people in Paris is absolutely fucking appalling in every single way, shape, or form. And just the fact that it's touched what we love as gamers in any way makes me even more pissed. Like, just knowing that people like this are using something that we do every day to bring joy and have fun with and talk to our friends with, to do something so fucking heinous, just makes me wish 1,000 more deaths upon them than I already have. So fuck them. Leave our PS4s alone, leave our Xboxes alone, and go fuck yourselves. So, yeah.
Well said, sir. Well said.
Yep. Derek, what do you think about the story?
Jay, this story has me saying, what the fuck? And on that, why don't we hop on over to the mailbag and voicemails? Altius asks, now that I fucked that up. Altius asks, now that both the Xbox One and PS4 have had price cuts, do you think this Black Friday will set console sales records after the expected $50 discount, pushing them under the $300 price point?
I think no matter what, they were going to sell a shit ton of consoles, right? I mean, like, because
Yes.
of the games that are coming out.
Yeah, that part I agree on. Whether it's going to be records, it may very well may be, because these consoles came out 2 years ago, super expensive. Last year, Xbox had the $50 price cut. Sony did not. Now they both had the price cut, and they're getting these incentives like Walmart's Black Friday deals have already been leaked. That's another $50 off. You're going to see, and that's off of bundles and everything else. Some retailers are going to throw in extra games. So they're all going to have to keep up with this $50 price, the additional $50 off that they're taking. So to go for $299 for one of these next gen consoles for someone that has not yet bought it, it's going to be close. But I think that this could be a record breaking console sales year.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, for me, the biggest thing is this is really the first year that they have completely, you're hearing nothing about 360 or PS3, right? So this is the first time we're finally saying, hey, assholes, it's been 2 years. We don't even want to sell you a 360. In fact, we're not going to sell you a 360 anymore. That, to me, is the biggest shot for them to really start selling and moving some huge record-breaking numbers. Because we're finally out of this fucking idea that, like, I don't want... The fact that people were still buying 360s a year ago...
That's insane.
Blew my mind. I mean, absolutely. At that point, you're a year in and you're still buying, at that point, what, 11 or 12-year-old system? Crazy to me. Totally crazy. So now it makes no sense not to buy it. If you're going to buy a game, you have some of the best games on the system coming out this year, obviously Halo and a couple others. So yeah, I think there's a really great chance you're going to see some huge numbers here.
And for the last 3 weeks, the multi-platform games we talked about are no longer coming out for the Xbox One, the PS4, the 360, and the PS. No, it's just the Xbox One, the PS4, and sometimes maybe the PC. But yeah, there's the new highest of high-end games are no longer supporting last gen. So that's really the first step. And part of this is not the developer's fault. Like these guys that put out the games for all 4 platforms, they start their development cycles so far in advance. And Microsoft's like, well, but like back in 2013, Microsoft's probably like, well, we're aiming for 2014, but it could be as late as 2016. And they just give these such broad windows. And as a developer, you say, okay, well, if they're not going to have the console out, why are we developing for a console that might not even be out? We have to cover our bases and cover both generations. But now you're at the point where you're deep enough in the development cycle and the console cycle is well in full swing that you no longer have to go last gen. And you've got the install base to warrant the sales of your game across a large enough user base to make it profitable. So I think as we move forward, there's probably very few games that were, unless it's like a super easy backport, that we're going to see come out for the last gen consoles. So I think that this is going to be absolutely record breaking.
Well, and now you've got finally back. I think the other step was finally backwards compatibility with Xbox One. Like that's literally the cutting of the cord. If you buy an Xbox 360 now, you're really doing yourself an amazing disservice. Like there's just no reason, unless you like flat out just don't have the money, which that part I can understand. I mean, you don't have the money. You're probably going to find a 360 for under $100, I would assume. So, but I mean, even if it's that level, you're probably better off saving the money and trying to get a Black Friday deal and get it as cheap as possible, because there's just no reason that you're doing yourself a disservice. You're throwing away money at this point if you're buying an old system. So, no, I mean, it's a great question. I think ultimately we're gonna have to wait and see, but I think they're both sides are poised to really push some amazing numbers this year, which is good. Again, good for us. So.
Yeah, so through Christmas, we'll see. And I'm sure probably one of the shows right after Christmas, or actually probably the second show in January, will have all the numbers from the holiday season. And we can go back and compare and see how this stacks up. But if there was a holiday season where there could be a record broken, this is probably the season.
Agreed.
All right. And also we do still have Isaiah 6.8's question that we're holding off till next week when Hit's here, because it is a Hitman related question, as he is the resident game junkie in the area that we're going to be talking about. So we'll hit that up next week. If any of you have awesome questions like this, give us a call, 773-527-2961. Email us at podcast@tooltoplay.com. You can also comment in this episode's thread on the Tool to Play homepage. And sponsors! Remember, by supporting our sponsors, you help support Still Got Game. Now, this is probably going to be the last week that I just paste the shit into the audio version, because I'm going to give those guys a new recording next week. It's kind of not fair to just keep giving them the same shit. But for those of you live or on YouTube, this is the condensed, shortened down version. Our first sponsor is ThinkGeek. They sell all the geeky shit you love. Everybody has ordered from ThinkGeek before. If you haven't, you are living under a rock. So all we ask of you is the next time you're going to order from ThinkGeek, it doesn't cost. You can still go use whatever coupon code you searched up on the internet, whatever discount you have. It's going to be there even if you go through us. So go to tooltoplay.com/thinkgeek or tooltoplay.com/geek. It's even shorter, tooltoplay.com/geek, and go there. That'll take you to ThinkGeek. Place your order there, and it helps out the show. So you're going to be there anyway. It's the holiday season. You're going to be buying Christmas presents. tooltoplay.com/geek. And the Craft Beer Club, once again, another pertinent thing for the holidays. A lot of people like to give somebody a beer of the month subscription, and this is the best of the best craft beers, hand chosen. You get some pint glasses with your subscription. Like, it's win-win all around. So if this is something you're interested in for yourself, if it's something you give as a gift to somebody else, go to tooltoplay.com/beer. That's tooltoplay.com/beer. That will take you to the Craft Beer Club. You'll get all the awesome discounts just from going through that link, and order up the subscription. You know, it's the holiday season. You know someone that loves beer. You know someone that wants new beers every month, and this is the way to do it. And if you'd like to sponsor us, give us a call, 773-527-2961. Email us at podcast@tooltoplay.com. You tell us what you're selling. We'll tell us you're going to pay us. We'll sell it. You pay us. Boom. Done! Twitter us up. You can find everything Tool to Play related at twitter.com/tool-to-play. Everything podcast related at twitter.com/still_got_game. I, king of the fucking internet, god of everything that's fucking holy, at twitter.com/Derek Nolan.
And you can find me over at twitter.com/DudeIRock.
Tiff is at twitter.com/electrify. Facebook the fuck out of us. Facebook.com/tool-to-play. Facebook.com/Derek Nolan.
Facebook.com/DudeIRock.
Facebook.com/Tiff Nolan. Maybe. Could be. Maybe Tiff A. Nolan. One or the other. You'll see her picture. You'll know it's her. We also have a YouTube channel. YouTube.com/Tool-to-Play. That's the place to find all of Tool to Play's archive video content, whether it's this show, which is going to be the primary amount of content you find there, whether it's other shows like Hits, which is coming back soon. Hit's going to be bringing that back during the holiday season, whether it's one-off shows like Tiff's immature interviews, whether it's just archive gameplay footage of stuff we've done, whether it's our special shit we do with Bungie or whatever else. YouTube.com/Tool-to-Play. Go there, subscribe. You will be notified whenever we have awesome new archive video content. Also, please rate and review our podcast in iTunes. We need some 5-star reviews. That's the most important part. Just click the 5 stars and submit. But if you have any extra time, and I'm about to show you how little extra time you need, but if you have any extra time, just write a little review for us. And as I've promised, each week we are showcasing a review from iTunes. And this week's review that I'm featuring is from Dark Wolf. And his review subject was, all in uppercase, gods. And that was a 5-star review, 5 stars after that. And if you were so inclined to look at the text of the review, also the shift key was held down because it is gods, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Then the finger slipped off of the shift key because then there was a number 1. And that was the entire review. So, gods. It was, you can't ask for more. Like, it's you let out, you put it on Front Street with the subject, gods, and then you throw in the extra exclamation points during the content of the review just to let people know you're really fucking serious. And the excitement was so much, your finger slipped off the shift key for the last exclamation point. So
that's actually how you know. That's like the evidence that it is, in fact, you're that excited.
Yeah.
When you have the shift key slip up.
Yeah. It is. It's a common mistake during periods of excitement. So yes. So thank you so much for that review, Dark Wolf. And anyone else who wants to review us, 5 stars, give us a review, and you too could be featured here at the end of the show. Also, we have the Twitch channel, which our live viewers are watching us on now. That's twitch.tv/Tool-to-Play. That is where Tool-to-Play does all of our live content, whether it's gaming shows like this, like Still Got Game, whether it's live game streaming, all happens here. So go there. You can follow us. There's a follow button somewhere down low. that costs you nothing, and you'll be notified whenever we go live. There's also a subscribe button down there. It's only $4.99. Subscribe to us. That is the most direct way to support this show that you love. All of the shows you love. So just go there, subscribe, and you'll get like a little special thing in chat. You'll have like a little teabag icon. If you don't like the teabag and you subscribe, just shoot us a message and we'll create some new icon for you. We'll give you whatever you want there because that's how we are. We take care of subscribers. So go there, subscribe, and that's if you're looking for the most direct way to support us. We love to support us through our sponsors, but if you can't do that, this is the most direct way, and it's really cheap. It's less than two cups of coffee a month if you go to Starbucks. All right. I want to remind you all, you can join us each and every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, twitch.tv/tooltoplay. And on that, why don't we wrap this fucking fantabulous episode up? I am Derek D. Smooth Nolan.
I am Joel Dude I Rock Albert.
Happy birthday, Hitman.